Welcome to Common Sense Investing. My name is Cameron. Thank you for being here with me today. You could be anywhere doing anything and you're here watching this video. I really appreciate it. Now, what I'm going to be covering today is something a little bit different in this live stream. One of the things that I've been talking about a lot recently is when's the next bullish market for microcaps, right? When is the next time we get a bull market in microcaps? But sometimes I don't necessarily think that's what we should be focusing on. We might be better off served if we're looking for the next bull sector in microcaps, not the entire market going up for these tiny little penny stocks that have been beat down in the past 2 years, but what specific sectors can we look at to basically increase the share price? I've been talking about some numbers recently, and there are some people out there that basically have said that about 50% of the share price performance of a stock is the sector that they're in. We've all seen it recently with artificial intelligence, right? Doesn't matter. Good company, good stock, bad stock. Just about everything went up with artificial intelligence. So today I wanted to talk and look at some numbers for Canadian housing. And if there's some stocks to get excited in Canadian housing, if that sector is going to boom soon. I've been hearing that a lot on social media. I wanted to talk about that today, as well as I'm going to present 2 or 3 or 4 different stocks that might have some opportunity if this sector actually does boom in the near future. And then finally, I'll probably have to talk about Well Health Technologies. I know a lot of people have questions about it, so that's kind of my game plan for this video if you stick around. Now, of course, do not forget that this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just one average retail investor that wanted to start this YouTube channel because of all the crap that I saw online and on YouTube as far as like investment discussions over the course of COVID. And this is not how to invest. This is how I invest. And hopefully I create a good community of people in here that is looking to buy good stocks and keep good stocks. This is not in any way, shape, or form a day trading channel. So how's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody can see me. Hopefully everybody can hear me before I get started. I have done live streams before where I talk for like 20, 30 minutes and nobody can hear me. So long time no see in the live stream. Love the new channel. Same as the old channel, just new. Yeah, thank you. The new channel, if you're not aware, is I had an old channel. It got removed from YouTube for being too dangerous. It was probably because I covered a lot of scams and pump and dumps. There's a lot of money in scams and pump and dumps in the penny stock market. And yeah, it was probably only a matter of time before somebody decided to cancel me. So I've got a new channel. I've been trying to stick. I'm trying to be a good boy here. I'm trying to stick to just the good stocks, the good companies. I haven't covered any scams or any pump and dumps yet. So being good on this new channel so far. We can hear you. Everybody's here. Fantastic. I can move on here. And here's what we're talking about. Canadian housing market, right? Doesn't sound very exciting, doesn't sound very sexy, but it really doesn't matter. If there's opportunity here, we need to talk about it. And I've been seeing this talked about a lot on Twitter, on FinTwit, and I just want to kind of give my opinion here. Now, the first concept that you need to understand if there is some opportunity here, especially if you're an American, right, and you're not aware of what's going on, population growth in Canada. So if you look here, all provinces in Canada basically grew at least twice as fast as OECD. OECD is basically a group of 38 countries, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Australia, United Kingdom, United States, and a whole bunch of other friends, right? Basically, the only thing holding Canada back for population growth is Newfoundland. OECD is at the bottom left there at 0.6. Newfoundland's at 1.3. Canada's at 3.2. Alberta's at 4.3. The population of Canada is growing absolutely massively recently, okay? This is an unprecedented surge in population growth. It's fascinating. We've had a couple surges before. There was a correction by Stats Canada back in like the 70s. There's actually when Newfoundland joined Canada, which really popped up the population. There was the baby boomers. We all talk about the baby boomers. And then we have today, right? We have what's going on right now. And again, it's just, there's no two ways about it. We can't deny the population of Canada is absolutely booming through immigration, right? So that's on purpose, believe it or not. The target for 2023 was 465,000 immigrants. And in 2024, the plan is for 485,000, and 2025, 500,000, and 2026, 500,000. So this has been the plan all along, right? This isn't by accident. Everybody knew that this was coming. Canada has had massive high targets for immigration. And believe it or not, with the target this year in 2023 of 465,000, we're actually going to increase from here. That's the plan. That's the goal, right? So if everybody is thinking that population growth right now is crazy, right? We got multiple more years of this, and there probably isn't an election in Canada till 2025, and nothing in government happens quickly. So I could see this immigration plan basically rolling out as planned until 2026. Now, on top of that, what we're seeing is that we're probably going to bust above those plan limits. So there's a bunch of articles out there looking at the numbers. Immigration in 2023 on track to bust record high targets for this year, next year, and even 2025. So when we're looking at the 465,000, 485,000, 500,000 people, keep in mind Canada's population, I didn't even check coming into this. We're at what, 40 million now before this all started? I think we're at 38 and a half million, the population of Canada, something like that, right? And we're bringing in over 500,000 people per year. That's pretty huge, and they're expecting to bust through a few of those records. So population growth. Now, of course, what happens with that is you start to see certain things trickle in. The cost of rent, right? More people, not tons of rental units out there. Cost of rent is going up. So as the population has been going up, so has the cost of rent. But that's only kind of the start of the issue. Now, a couple things here I want to point out, because I'm not being negative here. I do agree with Paul Andriola here, where Canada is trapped in what we need immigration to help against aging demographics, right? We need this. It's not a bad thing. In no way am I saying this is a bad thing. The issue is that we're not keeping up with the infrastructure and housing supply to match population growth. Housing inflation is inevitable if we don't get our act together. So this is great. This is fantastic. I understand it. Canada needs more young people, more working population, right? We're just not having babies anymore. That's just the unfortunate way of it, right? You know, you get two people together, they have maybe one child, maybe 0 kids, right? There's a lot of that going on right now. We need people into this country to succeed. The problem is they just didn't plan for it. And Steve Saretsky here says that shelter inflation remains the largest contributor to inflation, adding a full percentage point to CPI. The housing shortage being stoked by excessive immigration pushed rents up 7.7% and mortgage interest costs by 28.6%. So that starts to get into the problem here. So we can all agree population is going up. What's happening then? What's happening to our housing supply? Our housing supply deficit hits a new record. Now my arrows here, the blue arrow at the top, that's a surplus, right? We were above the surplus for housing a couple times. According to this, we are actually above the surplus for housing in COVID. The pink arrow is the deficit. That's when we don't have enough homes, right? And you could see we're not just a little bit below that deficit line. We are plunging below that deficit line. So this becomes, how is this possible? Well, it's possible only because of the first graphs that I showed you, which showed the massive increase of population. We're simply not building enough homes. I'll look at that data in a second, and it's causing the fact that we simply have a housing deficit in this country. Government money is not the issue here. They're throwing money at this, right? We keep seeing, or at least I keep seeing, all these news announcements for building new housing here and building new housing here and funding for new housing here. The orange line is the community housing investment and new construction percentage of GDP. So the governments are spending more and more money trying to throw money at this problem and fix it. But the community housing net stock, which is the purple graphs, it simply isn't going up. In fact, recently it's going down. And there's lots of issues for that, right? Interest rates, access to capital, can't get development approved, you can't get zoning approved, there's all kind of regulatory burden. And what is that causing? I keep saying that housing construction is not up yet. This is the most recent data I could find, which is actually really good, which is December of 2023. And compared to December of 2022, it is up 3%. 3%. In data centers of a population of 10,000 or more people, which is, you know, every place we care about right now in Canada as far as we need housing, which is the larger urban centers, it's up 3% over last year. It's simply not enough. When you look at those immigration statistics, not enough in my opinion, right? But I think I've thrown enough data at you to back that up. So we have high population growth. We're getting 3% increase in housing starts. In fact, when I look at the trends recently, I'm not even seeing 3%. The average year-to-date 2023 stats, some of the stats are actually down from 2022, depending on where you go in Canada and which numbers you count. So at the end of the day, it's pretty simple here, right? This is common sense investing. I'm not trying to throw anything crazy at you. High population, not enough housing. What does common sense say? Eventually, that's going to have to change. Eventually, this industry has to boom again, right? That's what I'm getting out of this common sense. We just can't try to slowly grow some housing here. We're bringing massive amounts of people into this country. At some point, the housing construction industry has to boom, right? Am I just crazy on this? Maybe, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when. Now, the problem is I won't get into when, because I don't really know, right? There's so many things going on in the background. Like, why isn't housing increasing now? Government's throwing money at it, but there's all sorts of issues with interest rates and bank loans, and people coming to Canada can't get money for new housing. Some of the house developers can't get money. There's just not a lot of access to capital. They're having trouble getting things approved. They're having trouble getting land approved. They're having trouble getting land developed. I mean, there's issue after issue after issue. It's not just one thing. It's a whole lot of complex things, right? So I don't really want to get into that, other than I want to look for a couple things. Can housing increase? Can we keep watching these numbers? Can we start to see these numbers increase at some point? If these numbers increase, my question is, where's the opportunities? Because public markets don't offer the same opportunities that they used to. I'll be honest here. When I started thinking about this, I mean, if we can sit here and agree that, house construction in Canada is eventually going to go through a boom phase. It has to happen, right? I think common sense says that. Okay, I need to go find some stocks, some companies that are in this space, in this sector, so I could take advantage of this when the time comes. The thing is that the number of public companies has actually been going down and down and down and down. There's a lot of benefits for these companies to remain private, stay private, get access to capital when they're a private company. So there's simply less opportunities in the capital market. So part of this is I'm going to present you with a few stocks that could take opportunities up if this market booms. But as well, viewers, let me know. I'm always looking for good companies. If you think you have some tiny little microcap stocks that will benefit from a Canadian housing boom, let me know. Now, of course, we have to start with number one. I think everybody kind of knows this stock by now. This is Atlas Engineered Products. This is a small cap discovery stock. This has done very well recently. I've covered their earnings before. This is a company that supplies roof trusses, wall trusses, and everything else for the housing construction industry, where you can get your house built faster, quicker, because they basically engineer it and build it in a nice warm little factory somewhere, and then they ship it out to your work site. They don't just offer roof trusses, they have floor trusses, they have wall trusses, they have basically everything you need to build a house, including some design, engineering, and permitting, which can get you moving along a little quicker. They're pretty much right across Canada, and they're acquiring more businesses, or they recently did with that L. Chouinard purchase in New Brunswick. Super healthy financial balance sheet. And the thing that I really like about Atlas Engineered Products is because of these issues, because everybody is waiting for the next Canadian housing boom, but it just isn't coming. It isn't coming month after month after month. Share price keeps dipping down here. I saw Atlas Engineered Products as low as $1.04 today. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it closed the day at $1.10. Every time the stock tries to dip around $1, below $1, you could see it actually dip below $1 there for a couple seconds a few weeks ago. People snap it up. People buy it up. They're super excited about this stock. So this doesn't need a huge introduction, but Atlas Engineered Products is definitely a stock to watch in the next housing boom. Build Direct. This is a bit more high risk, maybe high reward. We'll see how it goes. They actually deal with flooring. So the flooring industry in North America is apparently a $70 billion market. It's always these boring industries that kind of surprise me with how much money is in there. So basically, I've called them the Amazon of flooring. So they don't really deal with you or I. If we need to like renovate a washroom, they're not here. We can't call Build Direct. What they do is they actually deliver flooring to large professional clients. So they got away with all the Home Depot type competition. They don't want, Joe Pro handyman. They're basically looking at these manufacturers delivering to these pro centers and then using their e-commerce platform to ship flooring to pro customers. They have a new pro focused service offering and 6 pro center that we're looking at. So when we look at Atlas Engineered Products from the last stock I was looking at, up, Build Direct has been going in the other direction. So what's been happening with this company is they basically went bankrupt or close to bankrupt, right? You could see this news release here, November 9th, 2017. The company said it is not bankrupt, but rather as a part of its restructuring process, Build Direct basically secured a bunch of financing, got some money from people, were able to hit the public markets, and they rounded up, I think it was $15 million. And they've been struggling since then. They kind of bottomed out at the bottom of 2023. They have completely changed around their business strategy. They've revamped their e-commerce. They've been expanding their pro centers. They basically threw away all the mom and pop places, all the smaller operators, and they're going for these large pro centers, and that seems to be helping the stock. If this stock can recover, they're sitting at an insanely cheap 0.16 price to sales trailing 12 months. They already have, I think it was $77 million of revenue. So they're not a small company. They actually have a high revenue company. It's just they've been so battered down recently, right? So high risk, high reward. Really, this stock needs to put the pieces together, but there's potential there. Finally, a new one that's kind of making my list is FabForm. This is the 5-hour foundation. So basically, we've got Atlas Engineered Products working on roof trusses, wall trusses, flooring trusses. We've got, kind of Build Direct working on finishing the house with flooring and everything else. This is now the foundation to start the house. And what this is, a lot of foundations get built with a whole bunch of lumber and it gets thrown out, right? It's very difficult to do. And they have this video you could watch here where they build this entire foundation in 5 hours, basically with this styrofoam block process. Now, they actually have more than that. They have things called, this is their FabForm. They have FabForm, Fast Post. The whole list is here. Fast Pad, Fast Foot, Fast Tube. This company has been around forever. That's probably the biggest red flag for me, right? But this entire time, they've been building out all these proprietary products to basically build foundations for houses quickly. And now what's happened is they have a new CEO has taken over recently, and they're trying to grow the business. So where Build Direct was kind of a bit damaged and they're taking a different change in business strategies, basically FabForm seems to have been doing well for a long time, but you know how it goes, right? You need something to change to all of a sudden change the price of shares. And that seems to be what they're doing, because recently they've gone up. They were as high as $2.24 in February of 2023. They are down to $1.68, and I wonder if there is opportunity here. The main thing for me, Small Cap Discoveries has an interview out with their new CEO, and basically they talk about why is today any different? That was basically my question, right? You've been doing nothing, well, building out your product line for like 20 years, but their share price really hasn't gone up until recently. What's different about now? And essentially their CEO tries to convince us that they're marketing through social media, and that is going to improve the company. There's a couple other interesting plays here. Down, Remax Holdings, a penny stock pretty soon, $337 million market cap, right? Once it hits below $300 million, you have to wonder, that was up above, $35, $36 there not too long ago. And now it's cruising below $11 for Remax. That's a NASDAQ listed stock. Same with Redfin. So this is a residential real estate brokerage in the United States and Canada. And you could see it's been absolutely brutalized. It almost hit $80 there during COVID. That's the 5-year chart. Now it's down to $8.71 American. So I don't know, couple interesting opportunities. I'm happy with the ones that I found here, right? Fabform is an interesting new stock to look at. I've been covering Build Direct for a while. And then, of course, it's hard to go wrong with Atlas Engineered Products, especially if you could buy it on the dip there, right? This is long-term, really nice looking stock. But it's frustrating. I'd like to find a few more stocks. And if you'd like to find a few more stocks with me, do not forget in the pinned comment of this video down below, I'm going to have a link to the free Discord. I have a free Discord. I think we're up to about 420 people now that are basically discussing all these stocks and, having good ideas. And all I do, kind of most of it, is moderate it. I just want to have a good, safe place to talk about stocks, right? All opinions are welcome. Bull case, bear case, it doesn't matter. That's the point of discussions around stocks, right? We don't do anything except discuss, have open, honest discussion, as well as, if you want a little bit more help finding good stocks, buying good stocks, and keeping good stocks, I do have a new Patreon that I've opened up. That is since my previous channel was removed from YouTube. I decided I cannot rely wholly on YouTube. I need to diversify a little bit, so I created a Patreon. I have some additional videos in there. I think my most recent one was investing in CanSlim explained. So I basically explain the CanSlim process and go through that with you, right? So that's there. Well Health Technologies. Now, this is just to end the live stream. I'm not going to sit here and talk about Well Health Technologies forever. An hour and 40 minutes. At the top, you could see my video. I recently had a live stream on Well Health Technologies, January 17th, 6 days ago, was it now? An hour and 40 minutes I talked about Well Health Technologies. What did I say in that video? Share price was going up at that time. Everybody was excited. And I said, hold on. Don't get excited yet, right? We've seen this before. It's gone up. This is a highly manipulated stock. It goes up. It gets shorted. It gets shorted down. It bottoms out somewhere. It goes up again as retail investors try to buy it up again. It gets shorted again. It comes down. We're seeing this again. So this is the same thing that happened November of 2023. You could see that same pump and dump here, right? That's what's going on. Now, what caused that today? CIBC analyst Scott Fletcher downgraded Well Health Technologies to neutral from an outperformer, reduced the price target from what was already a massively low $5.50 to $4.75, saying that slowing margins is going to cause slowing EBITDA growth, right? So that's great. The Wolf of Oakville pulled out this thing here on Scott Fisher, so congrats to him. Average return of negative 11% on 25 ratings, so not an analyst that seems to be correct very often. But obviously somebody had to pull Mr. Scott Fletcher out of the hat to just keep Well Health Technologies pump and dumping. And that's honestly what it's doing, right? I put this out on Twitter today. It's hard to say there isn't market manipulation on the TSX. Well Health Technologies now on its third pump and dump in 6 months, and you can't blame social media or retail investors who is playing games here. It's on a schedule. It's not the fact that the stock is volatile. It's not the fact that the stock occasionally goes up a little bit too high and then comes down. These are literally pump and dumps, right? It's almost every few months. It's almost on a timer. It starts going up and then it crashes down. The last time I had videos on that back in November, you could see it. The price went up to about $4.25. All of a sudden, the shorts start piling into that stock. It hit about $4.34 and just came crashing down. It's not even like a slow sell-off. It's just a crash. It's an obvious crash. And then what happens? They do it again. Right? They do it again today. So it's being manipulated. I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know the battle that's going on right now between the institutions and Well Health Technologies. I simply don't have that information for you. I wish I did. Because it's interesting today to see that HealWell AI, apparently AI is fine, right? Everybody wants artificial intelligence. Well Health Technologies basically owns, 50%, but they effectively own HealWell AI, or they could. It went up over 13%, while Well Health Technologies somehow went down 13%. This is what we're looking at with Teladoc Health. So there's no reason, like the sector didn't collapse in any way, shape, or form. It was just Well Health Technologies. I blame the Manitoba acquisitions. I told them, do not buy clinics in Winnipeg, right? Nobody's going to want to move to Winnipeg. That's what happened. That's why the analyst all of a sudden decided, I'm out. This isn't, I'm joking here, right? Of course, I love Winnipeg. I got family there, but it's very suspicious. Is what it is, right? I don't have the answers. All I'm saying is that's what I keep seeing over and over and over again with Well Health Technologies. Now, I've said, when is it finally going to be a good stock? When it can finally break that pattern. It's in that pattern of pump and dumping. If it can finally break that, once the institutions change from shorting Well Health Technologies to actually buying Well Health Technologies, that's when you're going to get good money. But if that doesn't happen, if that never happens, then this is what we're going to get, right? Goes up, everybody gets excited, and then we get today. I just took a position in Well Health Technologies today from the massive drop. Listen, everybody I spoke to today was either holding or buying. Right? That's it. I never spoke to a single person who was selling today. And it was interesting because the couple times that I did actually go check out the trading volume, like the actual shares that were being sold, there's people selling like 7 shares, 50 shares, 100 shares. I don't know how it ended up with 4 million of volume, right? Like, and why are you selling 7 shares? I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, everybody I talked to today was either holding strong or buying. Let's see here. YEG.V closed their private placement recently. Yeah, I haven't been even paying attention to them. They're a good REIT. They're a real estate investment trust in Alberta. And I was actually kind of bullish on them recently because, well, it's cheap real estate. It's some of the cheapest real estate left in Canada. So that's where YEG.V is. As a guy who's lived in other countries but not a residential housing expert, I guess Canada's large cities need 3-bedroom apartments. Where I live, they're hard to find. Most are too small. Yeah, well, we don't. I don't know that we'll take anything, man. We'll take anything. I agree. I mean, it's a lot of families. It's really tough on. I used to work or volunteer for Catholic Social Services, and we would help bring in new Canadians, and we would help settle them into the country and show them how to work the transit system and show them where the library is and everything. It was fantastic. The real problem there is that everybody we worked with was a family, and every family was like 7 to 12 people, right? So it's really hard to, like, I don't know how they're doing it where they're like moving to Toronto and like living in an apartment. So can you give us some apartment builder stocks, REITs? Not right now. We could talk about it though. Again, join up in the Discord. We could have a chat about that. So I don't discuss things on this channel that I'm invested in. I am invested in some REITs, so I don't really cover REITs on YouTube, but I'll happily have a chat about REITs in my Discord or on my Patreon. That's not a problem. I love a good little REIT, right? My experience though is in microcap stocks. So if you're listening to me talk about REITs in the Discord, take it with a grain of salt. I'm no REIT expert. That's I'm learning, I'm trying, because of course when I started this YouTube channel, I decided that I don't want a conflict of interest. So I don't own any of the stocks that I talk about on this channel because I consider that to be biased. So you won't hear me have me sitting here saying, well, I own shares in this company. I simply don't do that. I consider that bias. So that's the way it goes. See? Somebody else scooped up some Well shares today as well. Nothing was changed in the business. CEO bought more shares a week ago. Very bullish. That's just it. It's fascinating. I wonder sometimes why people sell. You know, if people just had automatic stop losses, but there's too much selling for that, right? It was very strange what was happening with Well Health today, because what has changed from yesterday? The price was going up yesterday. All of a sudden, the CIBC analyst, who's got a terrible track record of predicting stocks, all of a sudden downgrades a stock that he was already bearish on to just go a little bit more bearish. And that causes a 13% crash in their share price. Like, their 13% isn't a lot for, a 6-cent stock. But when you're talking about Well Health Technologies and their growth and everything they're doing, they just talked about profitability. They just signed up the Vancouver Canucks. They're already a leading provider of healthcare in Canada. And you're going to take the leading provider of healthcare in Canada and just say, yeah, I'm not really interested because of slowing EBITDA. And then just on that, you're just going to absolutely sell and take a huge loss on a day that the stock is crashing. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't really get it. But I mean, like I said, it's being manipulated. And at the end of the day, that's why I focus on. I didn't even really want to talk about well health technologies today because I figured I had to because people had a lot of questions. But that's why I'm a more long-term investor. So that's why I don't like day trading. For one, there's not a lot of money in it, in my opinion, right? Day trading. But the other thing is the amount of time it takes, the amount of effort where you got to be on top of things, right? When you're a longer term investor in these stocks, it takes a lot of work at the start, right? You might put in a lot of work in the first 6 months. You got to do your research, do some more research, do some due diligence on that research, open a starting position, right? Watch another earnings come in. Earnings is good. Expand on that starting position, grow your position for the next 6 to 9 months to where you're happy with it. And then every time earnings comes in, every 3 months, you should go back, make sure they're still delivering goals and achieving those goals. But most of the work, it's all front loaded when you're a long-term investor, right? Doesn't matter what the stock is doing. You're looking at what the company's doing. The problem is that when you're day trading, when you're swing trading, you're using the psychology of investing. And I saw so much of that out there today where people are just like, they know something we don't know. CIBC knows something I don't know, right? Everybody's selling, share price is crashing, so I'm just going to sell. And that's just not what I do on this channel, right? I'm not saying buy today, I'm not saying hold, I'm not saying sell. It's just, I would be a little bit more confused why you would sell. Let's just put it that way, right? So let's see here. CIBC downgraded well. Sell first, ask questions later. The trend is your friend until it isn't. Yeah, pretty much, right? And that's what people did. That's what people did. They just saw that CIBC downgrade. They saw the share price dropping and they sold. So I don't know. Thanks for sticking in there. I love the constant conversation. Well, thank you. It's been now, this isn't bad, 33 minutes of talking. My last live stream went for an hour and 40 minutes. That's too long. That's ridiculous. I took one of these on my last live stream. This isn't like an ad. I'm not getting paid for this. I took this pre-workout. I was really tired. So I took a pre-workout drink before my last live stream. And yeah, it was an hour and 40-minute long live stream. So that's a bit too much. Like, I'll happily sit here and chat and answer any questions people have, right? If you stop asking questions, I'm out of here. And that last live stream went for an hour and 40 minutes. There's a lot of questions. So questions, concerns, comments. What do you think of the presentation? Do you think the Canadian housing construction industry is going to boom? It's not booming yet. I know a lot of Atlas Engineered shareholders out there. There's a lot of you out there. People love that company, rightfully so. Have been basically pushing it because we all know that a boom is coming. It's a matter of when, and it's not looking like it's happening anytime soon. I was disappointed when I went looking for some other stocks in the space. I could see why so many people are excited about Atlas Engineered products because there's simply not a lot else out there. Right? Unless I'm missing something. But I've been covering microcap stocks now on YouTube alone for 2 years, and I've been researching them for 20. I simply can't find a whole lot of microcap stocks that would benefit from a Canadian construction housing boom, right? Canadian construction boom, yes. I already previously picked out Berg Construction. That bloody stock has doubled. It's doing fantastic. I absolutely love Berg Construction. But when I went into the Canadian housing space, sure isn't a whole hell of a lot. Any hope for Voxter? I don't know. That's a tough question. Voxter is an American and a Canadian retail stock. It's got software that helps with the valuation of housing as far as like property sales, like buying a house. If you need to get what's the old market where you had to get a house appraisal, right? Where you buy a house, you need to get a house appraisal to buy the house. You need a house appraisal to refinance the house. So you have somebody show up, basically take a look at your house and then set a price. And Voxter's big thing is they're going to do that automatically through their giant database and through artificial intelligence or whatever else. I don't know everything about Voxter. It was a very popular stock there for a while on a couple other YouTube channels, especially, and it's absolutely crashed down to like 11 cents. The problem is that problems breed more problems, right? Like Build Direct had a lot of problems, but with Build Direct, you could see they finally turned it around, right? They're actually starting to become profitable even with all their struggles. I can get behind that kind of change where companies say, you know what, we're going to cut all expenses, we're going to become profitable, and then we're going to grow from there. There's no hope for me for Voxter in that they just keep burning cash, right? They're just going to keep diluting as far as I know. They need a massive improvement in real estate, the real estate industry, to really improve and have share price go up. I don't think we're going to get that, especially in the United States. I think there's going to be slow growth. So no, I don't have a lot of hope with Voxter. The other thing with Voxter is if you actually look at the presentation, go take a look at Fab Form, that the stock that I just talked about. One of the biggest problems they're facing right now is adoption of their technologies, because people in the construction industry are incredibly bullheaded sometimes. They've been doing things the same way for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They don't like change. Voxter is asking them to change. Fab Form, the stock I just covered, that's their biggest struggle. It's a fantastic little company from the looks of it, but they're actually asking people who normally pour foundations, concrete foundations, to switch to their Fab Form foundations. It's really hard for them to do. So anytime a company has to make a significant industry change before they improve, that's really, really tough, right? I think Fab Form has a greater chance of improving than Voxter right now. Thank you. I appreciate it. Great presentation. Thanks. Took me a while to put some of these things together, right? Housing is going to come. It's coming. That's what I'm trying to say here. It's coming. I want people aware of it, but I also want people aware of, I see a lot of FOMO out there, right? And it's nothing against people that talk about, housing increasing. Sometimes it takes a long time to build your position in a stock. So if you are excited about a stock like Atlas Engineered Products, it's good to know about it now. I don't expect the housing construction industry to boom in the next couple months. Some people are talking like it's booming now. I just showed you the numbers. I'm saying it isn't. It needs to. That's what my common sense is telling me. It just isn't yet. So if you think that's an opportunity and you want to look at some of these stocks that I just showed you to build a position, this is our chance, because it is going to boom, right? Everybody's looking for the next AI. Canadian housing is going to be big. I just don't know when. 2025, 2026, I don't know. But it's going to be big. North America has a shortage of 30,000 construction workers. That is also one of the problems, right? And that's the struggle, and I completely understand. Every time I talk about Atlas Engineered Products, I get some people in the construction industry, rightfully so, that say, great stock, we don't like the company. And the problem is they don't believe that Atlas Engineered Products can build a home to the same standard as your typical residential construction crew that will build on site, right? And it's just the transport, the building of the materials, it sits outside for a while, right? So there's this maybe a reduction in quality through a company like Atlas Engineered Products, where maybe the house isn't quite to the standard as it used to be 20 years ago before this was happening. I know Atlas Engineered Products would argue that, but that's what a lot of construction workers have told me. The problem is that we have such a shortage, right? So, a company like Atlas Engineered Products can help. That's why I threw Fab Form in there. I know the industry is stubborn. Industry does not want to change into this new foundation technique, this new product, this new service that's going to help them build foundations quicker. The industry doesn't want to change. I almost wonder if they eventually have to. I wonder if Fab Form actually grows because the industry has no choice. Like, they just don't have enough laborers. They need to find a way to increase their foundations going in. And that's where Fab Form could succeed, right? Yeah, it definitely will boom. I live in Vancouver. It's a wild hunting games when you're looking for a new place to rent. Prices are going crazy as well. Yeah, I don't I don't envy you at all, right? I have a lot of family in Vancouver, and they would always try to convince me to move there, and I considered it. I mean, anybody that lives in other parts of Canada, except maybe the Maritimes, every time we go to Vancouver, it's like, we should really move here. And then we look at the housing prices and the commute. Like, the problem is my family, it takes them sometimes 4 hours to commute. They got to walk to the bus. They got to take the bus to the SkyTrain. They got to take the SkyTrain to the city. And then they got to do that all the way back. Right? But the house prices, the commute. But yeah, other than that, I love that. I love that place, right? Fabform is an interesting company, but they are a reseller of one product that accounted for 50% of revenue, and it dropped 40% in the last quarter. Correct. Yeah. This was just a quick introduction. They have struggles. Their recent quarter went down. Can they change that around, right? And some of their products have been around for a long time. So you need to go let Fabform try to convince you that they're going to grow in the future. And it's tough because when I look at them, good products, I think they could really help. Like when I see that 5-hour foundation video, I'm like, yeah, this is exciting, right? This can change the industry. But for some reason, right? Like this person says here, I'm sorry, I'll never pronounce that correctly. Chow chow, right? The reseller of one product that accounted for 50% of revenues is typically not what you want to see, but it's interesting. It's on my list because there's not a lot of other options, right? Adentra, Aiden, formerly Hardwoods Distribution. Adentra Inc. is a distributor of architectural products. Is it on your watch list? No, never heard of it. Never heard of it. That would be interesting, right? That would be interesting. That's what I'm looking for. That will go on my research list after this video. Thanks, John. Residential construction is a stand. Too expensive to borrow. Yeah, that's one of the big problems, right? Prices of existing assets will rise as well. We can't build fast enough. Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? It's fascinating. My first house was $80,000. So that was 20, oh geez, I'm dating myself, 23 years ago. 23 years ago? Yeah, about there, right? And my first house was $80,000. My next house was $110,000. And then I bought a house for $275,000. It was a bloody mansion. It was gorgeous. It was all wood, wood shingles, wood siding, wood deck, everything. It burnt down. So I'm not even joking. And then I bought a house for $367,000. That was my last house. So they just keep going up and up and up. And it's scary. I won't say the current price of anything. It's but yeah, 80,000. And it's fascinating because when I bought my first house for $80,000, I was making 55,000. So you look at that 80,000 to 55,000, that's pretty close. Now, I'm not going to say my salary or anything today, but I'll tell you, you're not going to get the same ratio when you compare my salary to what I could potentially buy a house at today. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Right? I was looking at my first house that I bought for 80,000. I was looking at paying it off in 10 years without like a huge struggle. That's the way it was back then, 23 years ago. And now here we are today. Something's got to change. I think we're done. Look, everybody, thanks for joining me, but the questions are over. Really appreciate it. Thank you for another Monday evening live stream. I'll keep the videos coming to you. I do plan on having one new stock a week. So what you've been seeing from my channel is I have been uploading the occasional old video from my previously deleted channel, the ones that are still good. I recently uploaded a video on GiveX. GiveX stock has gone up recently. I was correct, right? I was looking at GiveX as an opportunity, and it's gone up, and it's still, there's some potential in there. I recently re-uploaded a video on Game On Entertainment. Game On Entertainment is my number 5 pick this year for microcap stocks. It's recently gone up. I re-uploaded an old video there, but I've also been releasing some newer videos. California Nanotechnology came out last week. This week, I can't tell you what stock it is, but expect a new stock coming out from my channel this week. I'm going to do at least one per week this year. So I really appreciate it. Come check me out on the Discord. I hope to see you there. And we'll see you again next Monday for the next live stream. Good luck, Well Health Technologies. Hopefully it's a better week. Hopefully we're not talking about this bloody stock again a week from now. So see you again.